What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. Bye, singing dog. Bye, goal.
I pronounce you.
Bye, wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figure it out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Sin's Chat Corner on this lovely Tuesday afternoon where Sin is feeling like garbage. I feel terrible, actually, because I'm so very excited that we have Mr. Will Lopez, our fine actor, on the show today, and I'm just not feeling 100% up to par, which kind of stinks. These things tend to happen once in a great while. Let's hope that it doesn't last for very long, because if you follow my page and my career and everything else that's going on, you already know that things are a little crazy in my world right now between films and doing a shop and doing radio shows and documentaries, and things are just getting a little out of control. So I just want to take a quick moment just to say to everybody, thank you so very much for helping and all your support and all your passion and all your concern and just everything that y'all are doing for me. It's been absolutely wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So I'm very excited today to be hosting Will. It's going to be an absolutely fabulous show. He comes highly recommended from mutual friends who are actors and such, and I'm so very excited that tomorrow, just a little heads up in case you guys haven't been watching The Wall, infamous director John Gallagher coming on the show is going to be pumping his new program, which is The Neutralizer, amongst many of his other film productions. He's an absolute hero in this industry, and I'm very, very excited. Extremely excited to be having him on the show tomorrow. So we'll just kind of wait and see how things go as far as that happens. And then, of course, Thursday at 3 o'clock Central Standard Time, we're going to be hosting Sister Grace. We are not hosting Sister Grace because she is with the New York City House of Mercy. So I believe it's Sisters of Grace, if I'm not mistaken, from New York City, which happens to be one of Dina Humphrey's clients. So we're going to be talking about the new website that they've been launching and their spiritual journey, so to speak, to try to improve things from a climate and culture standpoint. So 3 o'clock Central Standard Time tomorrow at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, which would be John Gallagher. And right now at 1 o'clock Central Time, we have actor Will Lopez. So without further ado, let's get him on the line and start chit-chatting about his life, his career, and his endeavors. Hi, Will.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
You're here. You found
I am.
me. Yay. Yay.
I'm
this
excited.
Is good.
I'm finally
You are
meeting
probably
the Barbara Walters of radio.
Oh, my God. You give me way too much credit. Thank you. Thank you so much. No, actually, you're very, I don't know if I want to say fortunate or unfortunate in that I'm starting to get very sick, actually. I think my son has given me a little flu bug that he had brought home with
my
him.
goodness.
So I'm not feeling too terrific.
Oh,
so you get to have me feeling like
day.
garbage. Yes, we're going to hopefully, we're going to, at the end of this hour, make you look 150% better. Not that I think that's possible, because I'm already in awe. I'm already a fan based on what I've learned, what I've researched, etc. So here we are.
Thank you.
So there you go. So before we talk about you, let's talk about my very dear mutual friend, our mutual friend, Wilson, because, you know, he was just on my show not so long ago. So I was just curious to ask you how you guys know each other. Did you work together, or did you, how did you get acquainted with Wilson Ramirez?
Wilson, of course, and our also close, very good friend is Emilio Rivera, which is one of your best friends.
Yes.
Yes. With Wilson, I've been watching him for a while now. He's a very, very good actor, and we met also on a new sitcom. Actually, not a sitcom. This new show called Kill 'Em All Los Angeles that we're both involved with. So, and that's a very, very wonderful project that Jesse Pringle, he has a Kill 'Em All Kansas City, and now he has a Kill 'Em All Los Angeles that we're all very excited about.
Yeah.
And, of course, Mr. Wilson, he did the first episode. I did the second episode. And it's just amazing working with those guys, you know, and how they're bringing the character on what he's doing. He's bringing suited up, gangster types, and it's just, and you know how he looks like. He looks awesome.
Exactly.
And they showed me,
Jesse does.
and Jesse showed me a little bit of the first episode, and he came out great. And I let him know that, too. So, yeah, he's a wonderful actor.
Oh, he is. He's absolutely, and just a wonderful human being. I mean, he is.
Oh my goodness.
He is.
Father,
he's like a miniature Emilio.
actor. Oh my goodness.
Yep.
Oh yeah. And Emilio too. That's another one of my idols.
Yeah, he's absolutely fabulous. I mean, and Wilson is. I don't know that Wilson is really recognizes his worth, so to speak, because we were talking about that a bit in the interview, and I told him that actually on a personal level too. I mean, it's amazing to me, and this, you're lumped in this, of course. I think you all are very humble in terms of where you're at in your life, what you've succeeded at, what you're accomplishing or trying to accomplish, and you don't get a big head about it. And in your industry, as we both know, that can be a rarity at times. People can get very narcissistic in this industry, and so it's refreshing to see people that have such a love of craft, a love of their art, a passion and purpose for that. So kudos to you guys, definitely. But enough about Wilson, because we made a big fuss about him last week. Of course, not at all. One of the difficult parts about being Barbara Walters of journalism is that we pride ourselves on being good journalists. But sometimes that's kind of complicated because some of your past history is relatively private. So I kind of have to ask some of the pertinent, important questions that I couldn't find out about you behind your back. So maybe, first off, let's start off, have you speaking to our listening audience in terms of, give us a bit of a background, meaning I want to know three things. At what age did you determine that becoming an actor was something that was significantly important to you? Second of all, you come from a background, meaning a family background of creative. And then third of all, tell me your very, very first performance from an acting standpoint.
Okay. Very good question. Age. Well, I've always loved the arts. I always loved getting into the business. I was looking at 8 years old. As a child, I've always been fascinated in the movie industry, and even to this day, I when I buy a Blu-ray DVD, the very first thing I look at is the behind the scenes, because I was always so fascinated how you can write a script and bring that to life. And to this day, as an actor, it's still amazing to me when I read a script, and to me, it's just on a piece of paper. That when you go on set, you see this elaborate set, and it started when I was younger. Probably as I've gotten older in high school, my brother and I used to sneak into the General Hospital set, ABC Studios, and watch. Yeah, and during that time, it was Luke and Laura. I remember that. Maybe people back in the day remember Luke and Laura and that storyline. And this was obviously way, way before the 9/11. So I would go in and, very respectful and watching the actors, and it was amazing seeing that whole behind the scenes. So I've always been fascinated with that. Background, no. My family, my older brother lives in Seattle. He's a doctor. My other brother lives here in L.A., then my mother and father were business owners in Puerto Rico. So background-wise, in family, there was no theater or anything like that. And I guess the last question, when I first started performing, 20 years ago, when I started in acting, and that's where I met Mr. Emilio Rivera. We worked on a play together. It was a comedy play. It was called L.A. Comedy Group. It was going to be kind of like the next Hispanic In Living Color. And it really didn't fly. Yeah, it was incredible. It really didn't fly off, but during that time, it was a performance that we did. And also, my first background was a film called Blood In and Blood Out, where I played a Chicano, and I worked with Benjamin Bratt, which during that time was probably, a very embarrassing moment at that time, because I didn't know who Benjamin Bratt was when I was filming. And so now when I go on any type of set and I work with particular actors, I try to do some background, and who they are, so it doesn't embarrass me when I'm on the set, because I didn't know who he was. And now we know who Benjamin Bratt is. And I'll never forget, we were on the scene, and we were sitting down, and, we were going to makeup. I had the tattoos and things like that. And we were reading the newspaper, the sports page, and we were just talking, hey, how long have you been acting? And it was my first gig. And he asked me, is this your first gig? Oh, yeah, it's my first gig. I go, so what have you been in? And at the time, he finished a movie called One Good Cop with Michael Keaton, which Michael Keaton's one of my favorite actors. And he was the second lead in that. And I came back on the set the next day, and I just told him, I am so sorry. And he said, no problem. That's amazing.
Oh, my goodness gracious, how funny is that? Actually, I imagine that you probably compile a lot of those stories in terms of, because you've had a significant amount of time, obviously. I can tell you folks by listening in, and one thing that I've noticed about Will is just your overabundance of, and I wrote it in this description, so I want to try to put this as best way as possible. Out and about 95% of the time, what I've noticed in researching you is that you have a tendency and a tenacity to make sure that you're appearing everywhere all the time, meaning he's always attending screenings, he's running to casting calls, he's going to auditions, he is participating and supporting the work of other directors, filmmakers, actors, things along those lines. So my question to you is this. To those that might be listening in who are looking at a career of acting or potentially considering the idea of it, do you find this is a successful way to further yourself in terms of your profession, meaning that you need to be out and about casting every day, auditioning? Do you need an agent? Give them a little bit of background of what that's about, because every actor has a different process and a way that they do things to ensure their own success. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's a very good question. I'm glad you asked, because when I started back 20 years ago, and really quick, the reason why I hate to say this, had to quit, which you never do in this business, which I find out later, but at the time, my children were very, very younger at the time, and I quit at the time because I was going through, type of marital problems, and I ended up divorcing. However, I made a decision to raise my children, and while I was raising my kids, of course I was watching all my friends on TV, and the love of the arts was always there. So God has a plan, and I truly believe this is my plan now. And so for the past almost 3 years now, I've been full force in this business. But going back then, there was getting started in the business at that time when I started, when I was in my mid-20s. It was harder for me because at the time there was a magazine called The Drama Log, and also another called The Variety. And during that time, we used to have our headshots, and we had staple them in the back, glossy, put them in an 8x10, and mail them out to agents. Fast forward now where we're at, things are totally different now with the internet, and the social media has really helped a lot. And to answer your question, yes, anyone that wants to pursue acting now, or even actors that I work with now, and the reason why I've been, what they're saying, booking and getting all these things is because you have to be involved in the arts. And when you are invited to these projects and these events, you definitely need to go because, as you know, we are a calling card. They have to see you. They need to know that you're out there. They need to know if you do one project, that's not good enough because in this business, unless you have a TV series, you're as good as your last project. So if I work on a movie and they hadn't heard from Will Lopez in the next 4 months, I'm not going to work again. So constantly, you have to put yourself out there. The social media has helped a great deal, in my opinion, in trying to get all of us out there, and it's helped me to get to know friends and old friends that I worked with in the business, and I'm rekindling my relationship with them, and it's been helping out. I hope that answered your question.
Oh, definitely. Without a doubt it did. I guess it led me to another question, to tell you the truth. And we've talked about this before with other actors in terms of, and, I notice this because I'm across the board. Obviously, I'm a writer, but I'm getting into all sorts of other facets. And what I'm curious to ask your take on this, because, again, every actor has a different perception on this or perspective from their experience. I noticed this heightened sense or for lack of a better term, just this across-the-board sort of competition. I struggle with this quite a bit because I see working actors, and a lot of times instead of embracing each other, they're kind of entangled in the whole competitive nature sort of thing where everybody's out going for the same role, et cetera. You live in California, L.A., which is a great city of, just film and television and the whole 9 yards.
Yes.
I'm wondering, because, of course, you're a little bit of an older actor. You're not, a young kid anymore and such. So do things such as age and location and prior experience, do all of those come to the lending table as it relates to getting cast for a role nowadays? How important is that? And moreover, why do you think that constant competition goes on?
Well, here in Los Angeles, and I constantly, when I talk to my friends that are actors, it is competitive, and I don't know how many actors are out here. Maybe 200,000 actors, and maybe really, and it's important. Maybe 2% really are constantly working in this business, so it's very competitive. In age, the only thing that I found out, and I don't know if this is going to offend anyone, but in men roles, as I've gotten older, and you still look a certain way, even though I'm 51 years old, I hope I look a lot younger, that I can play different roles. You do. Oh, thank you. And so in that way, lately, is the difference that I've been seeing now is the roles that I've been getting. I've been playing a lot of the police officer, a lot of the father, which before I used to be a boyfriend, but now it's a father, and those types of roles that I'm doing now, and I'm playing, paparazzis, and those are the different roles that I'm doing as I'm older. So as I've gotten older in my career, I've been experiencing more roles. In my personal opinion, I've been getting actually more than I did back then, and it's been helping me out. Yeah. So I'm very excited. I'm very excited to think that it's helping in my own career, because right now I feel like I could diversify in being a father, and then maybe being an evil guy on one end, and be a police officer on one end, and an investigator. So I have an eclectic way of trying to go around.
Definitely. And the other question that I wanted to ask you, which again is another actor-relative sort of thing, because some of us obviously don't live in Hollywood, we don't live in LA, we all have our own take on this. But I've noticed, I tend to want to ask people like you on this because you're in the crux of this. So this is what I'm curious to ask about. There are some that have very staunch opinions that do you feel that some of the productions that are made today, and this could be film, television, or otherwise, across the board in terms of entertainment as a whole, do you feel that the quality of the productions that are being made nowadays is lacking somewhat? Because I was just speaking to a dear friend of mine, and some of the material's just not as, do you know what I'm trying to say? In terms of things like violence, in terms of drama effect, in terms of just the writing themselves. I guess I feel a little bit disheartened. But you're out there, you're the actors. You tell me. I mean, I guess I'm curious to ask.
And another great question. I'm not a writer like yourself. However, as an actor, when you look at a script, you do look at some scripts and say, this is a great project. And sometimes you go and say, my gosh, what kind of project is it? And the writing is a little bit different. There's a lot of violence now, and that's I've been seeing a lot of that. Does it bother me a little bit? Yes, as a father of two children, and what you want to perceive yourself in working. There's a lot of shoot 'em up, a lot of things like that, and I see that over time in Hollywood. But as opposed to production, a lot of productions has left Hollywood, which I understand that now, and hopefully it will come back, because we do live here, and I realize a lot of production has left to Atlanta in North Carolina and things like that. And for us actors, we want these productions to come back in Hollywood. As opposed to writing, some of the writings is good stuff, and some of them isn't. I'm just putting it out there.
Okay.
And and as an actor, you got to bring whatever process that they give you. You have to bring it to life. Even if you don't like it, you still that's your job as an actor, is to bring that to life. But on the flip side, you have some of these younger writers that are really writing some tremendous things, and and so you have both sides, and some of these young directors that are coming up right now, and I've been doing a few student films. Very, very talented. The way they shoot is totally different. So once again, you're dealing with two different sides. If you're dealing with an older director that is stuck in his ways, as opposed to you may have a new school way of director, up and coming producer director that's shooting things. That's also fun.
Right. Oh, I imagine. Definitely. I love the indie, just indie as a whole. As far as
I love it.
Just working, well, I'm about to do that. I'm about to find that experience out myself, because we start shooting at the end of this month, so I'm rolling. I'm really excited, but really nervous, so we'll have to see. I also wanted to ask you, because, again, another actor question, I hope you don't mind, but the reality is you
No,
are
go
an
ahead.
actor, and, of course, a lot of times, people listen in, they have no clue what goes on the opposite side of the fence. So if I were to ask Will himself, if I were to say to you, okay, name one type of role that you've never done before that you want to get cast at, meaning something that doesn't come easy to you. Like, for instance, is it easier for you to play the bad guy versus the good guy? Tell me something you really want to play that's the direct opposite of you. And could you do that?
Well, yes, as an actor, you must. But yeah, I would like to.
Sure.
I like the bad roles because I'm not considered that. I don't look like the evil type of things. But those are the ones that I would definitely like to continue doing. I worked on a film with Lorenzo Lamas, and I worked. It was a bad role that we've done. It was a cartel type film that we did. And that was very interesting. You had to shoot them up and execution style things that you do on film. And those are very interesting to do because it's a stretch for me personally because that's not who I am, obviously. I
Sure.
really, I wasn't, growing up in the streets of L.A. I was, my mom and dad raised us in a Christian atmosphere in a totally different way of living, and my brothers, and so we've always lived in a really nice area. So in my story, I don't have that story of living in the bad areas of L.A. I was always blessed to have wonderful family and wonderful brothers to guide me and to do that. So when I'm in that role of being a bad guy, it is a stretch for me, and I have to do some research. However, we all have it inside us. So, we all have some bad experiences, as we all know. If someone has pissed us off at one end, and so you know what, I bring that into this character, and that's exactly what I have to do.
I understand. Has there ever been a point in time where you have done a role where you have found yourself, because some actors will talk about the transition, because sometimes, as some people may not understand, you shift into that. I mean, it's showtime or it's game time, and you shift right into a certain thing. So, for instance, if you're in something very deep and very emotional, is that hard for you to come back out of? Do you find that you go home and stay in character for a while until you shake it off, or is it one of those things where turn on, turn off?
Me personally, as being trained, it's a turn on, turn off. There's a lot of my friends that are method actors. When you're a method actor, that you do get, engulfed in that. Me personally, I haven't studied that. I have for a while, but I've learned to turn it on and turn it off on set. I've worked with a few actors that they're method, meaning that they're on character the whole day on set. So when you see them, you can't talk. And you already know that you leave them by themselves. I worked on a indie film probably around 3 weeks ago. Very, very young, good young actor, and he was the method with his co-star, and the director, and the woman director, she had him on set not talking to each other because she wanted them to keep that, because it was a very intense scene about drugs and pushing and kind of this violent act that's happening in the scene. So right when we were about to do the scene, she actually told him, okay, we're ready to go, and he just said, have 1 minute. Well, he goes outside and does sprints on the outside to get his heart rate up, and then he says, I'm ready. So, and that's good. Some people love that method and they stay in character. Me personally, I like to get out of that. As a trained actor, you need to make decisions when you're on set. So,
right, of course, I understand completely. Now, speaking of which, method in terms of learning and all those good stuff, we want to let everybody know that I know that you've been attending acting classes through Stars Acting School for Film, TV, and Commercial, which is, of course, Vincent Rivera's labor of love, so to speak. So talk to me a little bit about this particular acting class. How has Stars kind of formulated or given you a different conceptualization, let's say, for how you act and how you present yourself on stage? What have they afforded you in terms of making you a better actor?
Well, Vincent, and he's been in the business for a little over 20 years, and we met on a film called The Second Coming of Christ with Natalie Burns. And it was a very, very, very good crew on that. And how he actually teaches is because he teaches everything. and which makes it on camera. And what makes Vincent and his teaching a little bit different is that he keeps it real with us, and he shows us how to go into auditions, how to break down a script. So when you go into his class, he definitely has his sides ready, and you have to be prepared. So, meaning that, and then when we're about to start, we walk in, just like if we're talking to a casting director, and so he prepares us exactly how it's going to be out in this world of acting. Keeps us prepared, lets us know that if someone else has, he tells us this even in class all the time, if someone has a part, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Thank them and move on, as opposed to some people get really upset. And so you have, and we also have a thing that we do every day in school is the I am theories. Is I am an act. I will be. I am going to win an Academy Award. So that I am, he really embeds that in our head, and that really helps us out in our character and also in our mindset going into the world of acting. And that helps us a great deal.
Now, I also noticed by looking at some of the pictures, and of course, obviously, I've been following you, and I can see that you have been involved in productions that are relative to some of the individuals you go to school with, if I'm not mistaken. So you've been doing productions or things along those lines. So tell us a little bit about that, what it's like to be acting alongside of your castmates, and then more importantly, name one fundamental thing that you can think of that you would pass along to a either wannabe actor or somebody who's in the field right now that has bettered you, or that's not the right word. What's my word for it? One thing that you can pass along, kind of like the golden key, so to speak, at every audition or every casting call. When you walk in, that one thing you need to remember or you need to take with you.
To every actor, actually, one of them is to stay focused in this business, and also to never quit. I mean, I've heard that from Emilio, even when I do talk to him once in a while, because he's very busy. And those are the things that he always tells me. He goes, Will, people they get into this business wanting to be a star, and I did another interview for LA Film School, and I said the same thing. If you want to get into this business to be a superstar and to make a lot of money, well, this isn't the business to get in. I mean, you have to. I mean, I'm just keeping it real. You have to love this business. The majority of the actors that I've talked to and worked in this business, they just love being on set. I mean, we love it, oh my gosh, and I've heard other people that are new, oh my gosh, I'm going to be the next so-and-so, and it's not going to work out. And those people, they hit that plateau and they realize how difficult it is. You got to go through the audition process. And then after an audition, you get a call back. And after a call back, then you got to go back.
Right.
And then you're just waiting and waiting. So, and you just got to brush that off. But however, all the actors that I've talked to, and they just love the business. You have to love it first. Don't think of the fame. Don't think of the money. Just look at the craft, because that's what's going to get you out there. And the more times you work, the more you're going to be seen. Then the money will come. But, of course, people are like, oh, my gosh, I've heard it over the years when I started. Oh, man, this is a fluke. Will, this is ridiculous. There's the joke. Oh, really, you're an actor. What do you do for money? There's that stigma of that whole thing. But, like I was telling you, when I was younger, I love it. It's just something, it's a passion. And the majority of my friends, and you probably talked to the majority of them, they just love this business. I mean, even every day when I talk to the people, when I'm going to a set, driving to a movie set, there's nothing better than that. I mean, everyone is on the freeway going to work, going to an office, but I'm actually going to a set. I mean, to this day, I don't know what's better than that, other than being an athlete. I really don't know any other business, that you can go to a movie set, and it's amazing. And, of course, what you do, that must be fun,
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, it's like any time that you get an opportunity to live and breathe your passion every day, where you get to do something, where you get excited.
Amen.
And I still get nervous 5 minutes before I go on. I'm always getting nervous about 5 minutes beforehand. I'm like, doesn't matter who I'm talking to, doesn't matter if it's a returning person, it just scares the crap out of me. I'm like, I'm scared. You know what I mean? It makes me very nervous. And I know that means I'm excited and I love what I do. So you're making me really nervous right now, Will, so thanks a lot. I appreciate that.
No.
I was nervous before I interviewed you, so I'm like, it's not really changing at all whatsoever. Definitely not.
I hope you're feeling better, though.
I'm not feeling any better yet, but as we work along, hopefully with any luck at all, we will. I think it's just, you know how it is, us artists as a whole, whatever artistic field that you're in, you're always going 24/7. It doesn't leave a lot of time for rest. I mean, I've not been sleeping right. I've been feeling well. I have a child that's sick. I think my son probably got me sick, so it's like one of those things. You just kind of have to suck it up and do what you have to do and make it through, and hopefully I won't have to apologize at the end of this like, oh, my God, I so suck. So hopefully I'll do you some justice here.
Oh, boy.
One of the things I want to talk about that I thought was really cool that I found out about you is that you had played a really good guy this time, not a bad guy, in an actual music video for a group called New Medicine. It's called One Too Many is the song, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Tell me how you got involved with that, and tell me if people can still see it.
Yes, actually, you can look at it on YouTube. It's all over YouTube. I played I played a police officer actually on that part.
Yes, you did.
You are good. My goodness. I'm very impressed. And actually making me nervous and blushing right now.
I'm
you did
sorry.
your research.
Yes, I did.
No, that was a wonderful project. I worked with the director before on another project, and they, and this is the great thing about this business is now, when they trust you and they know that you're working and you're fun on set, they call you back. And unfortunately I didn't have to audition for this. I got a call, and they wanted me to be the police officer, in which I did. It was a great video. Music videos, I mean, even though they're 3 to 4 minutes, it was probably like almost a 10-hour shoot on that day in LA.
Oh my gosh!
But yes, it was a wonderful, because you have different shots as you know how everything works, and in a music video it's a little bit different because you have they have different shots, and with the music in the background they have to stop it and get all the actors together. And then in my part, we had to shoot it out in the street, so at that time we had to wait till. That was a fun video. The guys were great. Great little rock song that I enjoy. But yeah, absolutely. Oh, that makes me feel good.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. No, because you know what? Yeah. When you come on my show, it's all about highlighting all of your stuff, not just one or two things, but everybody needs to know that you have an integral life, obviously, and it revolves more than just this movie or this TV or this or that. So that's what we're here for. Obviously, that kind of goes without saying. So, now, next question for you. I found it interesting that you're going to be attending this, and this is just more of a personal side of things. I'm curious about this. Talk to me a little bit about, you have a screening coming up in April that you're going to called The House of Manson, and it just looked really intriguing to me, and I'm like, talk to me a little bit about that. What's that all about?
You know what? It's one of my friends that he's actually in the film. And
wow.
Yeah, he's in the film. And the great thing about it is we worked together on Kill 'Em All Los Angeles. And we became very good friends. And one thing about in this business, when you meet a lot of good actors, and it just seems like you know each other very well. He's in this film, the Manson film. And we were talking about it, and now it's actually, the screening is going to be, I think it's April 13th, I think it is. And I'm invited to that. Yes. And I'm very excited about that. So it was actually an invite from one of the cast members that's in the film that invited me to attend with him. Yeah, so it's a great thing. Yeah.
I know. Will gets he gets like all these invitations. You should see it on the Facebook page. He gets invited to places. He's all over the place. Picture being taken 27 times a week. I'm like, my God, I thought I was popular? I can't even hold a candle to you, man. It's like intense. I can't believe it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're popular.
It's part of the marketing, what we need to do,
Oh, of course. It goes without saying. That's part of the plan, obviously. I like to address this subject only because of the fact that, for those that don't know, obviously, Will is a man of Puerto Rican descent. So this is my question to you. Actually, it's a twofold question, because I have familial something relatively similar to this. Unfortunately, like with Wilson, you've seen Wilson's look. So, of course, a lot of times people tend to typecast him. So I'm just wondering, as it relates to your ethnicity, does that ever become factored in in terms of you landing a role, meaning getting it or getting turned down for it?
No. And mine's a little bit different because when you look at Emilio, he's made a living off of his characters. He's and he's very good at it. Also with Wilson,
right?
They do have a little typecasting thing, which I know in his interview, which I heard that you guys did, and he spoke about about the neck tattoo and things like that he does have.
Right.
They do happen to have get cast into typecasting as opposed to a prison guard or the bad guy that shoots and kills. In my end, I don't have that. I do have a few tattoos, but nothing very much visible. I could do the clean cut look. I can do the goatee, or I can do the beard. So, in my end, no, because I've played an Italian. I played a Mexicano, and of course, I played Puerto Rican. So,
right.
And in my way of looking, sometimes actually, I was going to get cast in a video with Marilyn Manson this past weekend, but my friends at Where's Casting said, "Hey, Will, I can't cast you because you don't look the part." And that part was the Vato kind of look to it. So I missed that good shoot this past weekend because I didn't have that look that they're looking for. And that was, and that was pretty good money, but that's just, he just told me to my face. He was, Cassie, you're just not what we're looking for, and it is what it is. Some things you take and some things you don't. And a lot of my friends worked that project. And I heard it was a fun project working on, but that's an opportunity that I missed.
Yeah, well, sometimes you can't get every single one, so maybe that means that you're being bypassed for something better or greater.
Yeah, I mean, good point. But as an actor, I mean, you want to work as much as you can because that's really what it's all about, the work and the body of work that you do. And sometimes when you don't get casted for something, our human nature is, my gosh, I didn't read right, or I did something wrong, and that when I show it to Vincent, and once you do the audition, just let it go and do something else. Go get something to eat, go see a movie, and don't talk about the audition because once you put it out there, it is what it is. So you do the work, walk away from it. Because if not, we're in our car like, oh my gosh, I should have hit this a little harder. I should have done this. Or you start talking about it, and then we feel like once you put it out in the universe, it just won't come back.
Oh no,
and then,
I know exactly.
And then when you find out, when someone else does have that role, you're like, damn, and you start.
It's frustrating.
Oh my gosh, what did I do? Yeah, it's frustrating. And a little story. I hope. Can I say the story? I hope I can.
Honey, it's your show. You can say whatever you want.
Oh, thank you. And this really helped me. Now, when I first started years ago, I was at a McDonald's commercial audition. And when I was at the audition, I'll never forget. I was there, and it was an ad lib. McDonald's commercial. So I'm 5'9", with a pompadour 5'10", whatever. So I went into this audition, and all we had to do, and the director said, okay, just order. I had a girlfriend at the time, and played my part. So I said, okay, honey, what would you like? Big Mac, quarter pounder with cheese, and that was it. Well, I got the call back. Mm-hmm. Okay. So the girl that I worked with did not get the call back. Right, so I went back the next day, and I was happy about it. However, so it was me and this other guy sitting down, and so he's talking, hey, well, how long have you been in the business? Oh, I've only been in the business a couple of months or whatever. Oh, wow, I've worked with this director before, and I've worked with this project before, and so he's intimidating me. Mm-hmm. And in my mind, I'm thinking, damn, they're going to give it to him. And and he knew I was a young actor, and he was just messing with my head. And so he's like, yeah, I worked with them before, this, that, yeah, I did this project, and I'm just sitting here like, oh, man, I'm not going to get this part. Well, of course, they call him first. So he goes in, well, I'm waiting for him, I'm thinking he got it, and I'm already defeated. Right. So when he comes out, he says, hey, man, nice meeting you, good luck, and he leaves. Of course, then they call me in. Well, now, of course, I'm defeated. Mm-hmm. Going into this audition, I meet the director, casting director, I'm like, oh, God.
Right.
You have to slate your name, yes. Well, now, the girlfriend that plays me now, she's taller than me. She's 6'1", So now she's taller than me. Now I'm just totally defeated on this day. I'm like, my gosh, I'm coming in. This guy intimidated me. Now I look over and the girlfriend now is like 6'1", and I just bombed the audition. So ever since I've learned that, I couldn't believe it. And I didn't get it, obviously. It's a national. But I always remember that. And I said, you know what? Don't let anyone intimidate you like that. Stay focused on this business because, everybody, no matter who you work with, and when you're in this business, you meet a lot of interesting, great people. On my last project I did a few months ago, Killed, which was my first time I got shot by the lead actor. It was amazing. Even I knew when I was coming on set I was going to get killed. I worked with Dayton Callie from Sons of Anarchy. And when he came on set, it was just an amazing, he's an amazing man. We were on set for almost 12 hours talking, and he was showing me the ropes. And so I'm always open to hear what people have to tell me. I'm open to any of it. No matter who it is. If it's a young actor that I can learn from, or an older actor that I can learn from, and the knowledge is always there. And he told me the same thing. Just stay focused, just learn your lines, and just and do what you have to do. And that's part of this business that I really, really enjoy, is the great people that you meet in this business.
Well, and the thing is, you just mentioned one of my favorite. I have to say, on Sons of Anarchy, besides Emilio, the only other person that stood right next to him in line is, of course, Dayton Callie, because I've interviewed him before. I haven't had the pleasure to meet him yet and have lunch with him, but he was just fabulous and real and amazing. What I really liked about him was, he'll come on my radio show and he told all these really clever stories, and moreover, he didn't give it, he was like, fuck this, fuck that, because that's how he talks, and I was like,
yeah, he does.
He sounds so
live in New York,
that's
East Coast.
him. Exactly.
Yeah, that's him.
Is totally him. And I'm like, I don't know if that's actor part, musician part, that sort of good stuff, but he's an amazing man. I just love how real he is and how unaware of who he really is. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like,
yes, yes. He gave me an advice, and I'll let everyone know. When we were sitting down, I was talking to him and letting him know, what as a beginning actor, people coming in, what should you do? And it was a great advice that he gave me, and it still sticks to me right now. He said, make sure that you give the casting directors opportunity for you to say yes. Once there's a no, then you're done. Meaning that, do you have headshot? Yes. Do you have a reel? Yes. Are you SAG? Yes. Are you a trained actor? No.
Right.
Great. Now you're done. Anything that has a no. And he was just constantly, great. Do you have headshots? Yes. Do you have a reel? No. Next. And that's exactly how this business is. And he's in the business almost 30 years. And I love him in Deadwood and all his other projects that he's done.
I know.
Anarchy. The man is just, almost
fabulous.
You could almost be, you feel a little kind of starstruck, however, because he makes you feel so good when you talk to him,
Sure. I agree with you tenfold. He is one of my favorites, absolutely. If I could afford to cast him in one of my movies, I would do it, but I can't. Well, I'd have to beg.
And when I was on set, and when I was on set, I was talking to Emilio. And I let Emilio know, hey, you know what? And he loves him. He goes, oh my gosh, he's one of my favorite. You tell him I said hi, and then that's when we put some pictures and sent to Emilio, and it was. They just have this great. Him and Emilio, because they've worked with each other so long, they love each other so much, like brothers.
Right.
And it's just they kid around so much. Like, who is he? I don't know who he is. I started him. Emilio says, well, let him know that I started him in his business. So it's just fun banter that those guys had together, and
I think that's a really cool part of any occupation, and this goes for mine too. I always get excited when I interview somebody that I'm a personal friend with, somebody that I personally admire, someone that I've been dying to meet. Like, I've gotten a chance to meet some of the people that I've been watching on television for a long time, and that's always exciting. It's one of the coolest parts of your job, you know what I'm saying? So I know I get exactly what you mean. But I'm going to switch gears on you a minute. I'm going to make you talk about this. Another thing that Will Lopez has done, or I've seen that you do. Talk to me a little bit about, this is interesting because you did an actual 3D scan for a video game, did you not?
3D.
Okay, talk to me about that. Yeah, because that's different.
Yeah, it is different. Actually, I got this call for this 3D video. They wanted to do a character, like a 3D character of me. So I got called in to be one of the characters, which was great. So when I went in there, you go into the studio, and you sit in this little chair, and they have the little cameras that just goes around you, and they take these snapshots of different characters on there. Well, talking to them, the video will not be, or probably in the next 3 years. That's how long it takes for them to get it done, which is amazing to me. While I'm sitting there and talking to them, I go, so, when is this going to come out? They say, you know what? They're still putting it together. It probably will not be out until the next 3 years. So being a character, yes. So what they're doing is now they're doing the 3D of myself and other actors, and then they're actually going to call us in to actually be doing the actual lines and everything else. But the first things first is to get our image, and once we get our image, then most likely they'll call us back, and then we'll be doing the role. That is so
I got
that call. That was really cool. I've never something different, and it's something that when you're in the video game, that's there. It stays with you, and my grandkids can look at that one day. If I ever have grandkids, they can play and say, "Hey, there's Grandpa."
Well, you're not a day over 35, so you don't have to worry about the grandpa stage for quite some time, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because I've seen your kids.
I have a 26-year-old son and a 24-year-old daughter, so they're there.
Yep,
getting there.
I know. So now we've reached that part of the interview where I get to get personal on you because, as you know, because you listen to some of my other shows, of course, that we like to talk about the personal side of things because obviously Will is an actor and amongst other things, but you are a human being. And I know a lot of times I try to make sure that my audiences know that you're an actual man besides, just the enigma that's the actor, all that good stuff. So let's talk a little bit about this. Obviously, of course, I already know that you're a father because I've seen your two beautiful children, and I have to say, oh my God, and I'm not making this up because I'm your friend. Beautiful. He has beautiful, intelligent children because I see what he posts on his page in terms of obviously your daughter just graduated from her veterinary thing, and I've seen pictures of your son before, and you've done very well. They're absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
So he's obviously a father of beautiful children. We already covered the ground in East Puerto Rico. We know that. We already know that you have a brother. That goes without saying. Another participant of the ALS challenge. That seems to be a big thing these days because I saw that you were named to do it, and you did that as well. I thought this was really cool. Not only do you fish, but apparently you disco dance. There's not a lot of men that are masculine enough to admit that they actually disco dance. I thought that was so funny. I'm like, holy cow. Also, you are a resident of California, but you're a Yankees fan. How in the hell did that happen?
Wow, yes. I have family that's from New York, have cousins in New York, and being Puerto Rican, I have a lot of New Yorker friends and family. But and my friends here in LA, they're like, oh my gosh, the Dodgers, which I love the Dodgers and the Angels too. It's just I tell them, how can you not like the Yankees? They're Americana, and there's a lot of people that hate the Yankees, but the history, championships, and just their whole stigma. When you think, me personally, when you think of baseball, it's the Yankees.
I agree.
From Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth and just all these great old school baseball players. And I just tell them, and they hate me because I wear my Yankee hat and in here in LA.
That's life, man. You can like whatever you want. You can follow whatever you want. I also find it interesting for those of you that don't know, unless I have misinformation here, you're also trying to balance a day job as well with doing your acting. Is that not correct?
Yeah. My day job, I do own a company, credit company. I've done that for probably 14 years. So I have clients that I have to be accountable for, obviously. And also, so I have to swing both types of lives, and in between there, of course, supporting my children and doing what I have to do, and of course, now I'm living in Puerto Rico, and talking to my mother almost every day, which I do, and that's the hard part of my mother living in Puerto Rico, and that's a little over 4,000 miles away, and the love of my life, and lost my father 20 years ago. So it's tough. The emotions.
Well, and that makes me want to ask a question in reference to that, because a lot of times, because I know what that's like, because I'm kind of doing sort of the same scenario that you're doing, and of course, but explain to folks a little bit about how do you find for yourself personally, how have you managed to find that perfect balance? And by that I mean where no one gets neglected, because you have a family on one side, you have a company that you're running, you're desperately running from audition to audition, trying to cast for different things. How do you maintain the perfect balance? And if not so much perfect, but just how do you find a proper balance to make it all work successfully?
It's, going back to it, it's just me personally, it's how I was raised with my brothers and my mother. My dad at the time owned a vending machine business back in the 80s, where they had soda machines and all those things. And my dad coming from Puerto Rico and working in New York as a bartender, and then coming here not really knowing how to speak English, and starting a successful business, and me watching my family. I'm old school, so I fear my parents, not like some children today, but
right.
And being raised by my mom and dad in the Christian atmosphere and things is like you always have to do what's right for people, And like my mother, I have a bleeding heart like my mom. I'm very emotional. I love people, and sometimes it affects me personally as opposed in life, because some people, they just have to realize that I get attached to things, very simple, and I have to learn how to get out of that. And that's part of acting, that I want everybody to like me, and that's my problem. I'm like my mother. My brother's a little bit different, but I just want everyone that meets me, I want them to like me, and it just doesn't work that way. In my business, it's the same way. I want my clients to love me. In my acting, and when I get a part, and I was talking to guys in my acting class last week, and I think it's a problem, and I adjust to that, is that when I get a part, I'm very, very grateful. And when I go on the set, I want to make sure that they made the right decision to cast me. And so I put too much pressure on myself, because it's like Cindy, if you have a project and you say, okay, Will, you're perfect for this role, well, I want to make sure I make you happy, so you can say, Will, I casted the right person for that. So that's the pressure that I put on myself, that I have to sometimes get out of. That's just who I am. So balancing the things, it's easier for me, because that's just how I live my life. Try to make people happy, try to do things what's right for people, try to do the best work I can in my business and also outside my business. So I have to juggle that. As my children being older, it helps a great deal now, because now I have more free time to do what I have to do. Because sometimes my kids don't call me like they used to when they were children. I have to call them.
Right.
My kids don't always.
Exactly.
Years ago, they would say, "Daddy, Daddy," and now it's, I'm waiting for that call. And
I know exactly.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat you're in. It's so frustrating. It's like you're raising this for your life, and then it's like, what's my number? What did you? Oh, wait, I need this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Here you go. I need this. Okay. Otherwise, then it's like, okay, I'll hear from you in a week. It drives me crazy. I was just complaining about yesterday.
Or they'll call you because they need gas money.
No, go ahead.
Give you a call.
Exactly right. Or can you come pick me up? Or by the way, could you just go get this for me? I totally get what you're talking about. It's like the life of a working parent. It's like it's enough to drive you nuts sometimes. Now, I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about some of the people or individuals actually that you've been blessed to be able to meet or work with, because people always like hearing about that sort of good stuff. So there's a couple in particular I want to point out. First of all, because I wanted to interview a couple of these people. Obviously, Emilio, it goes without saying, we both know him already. I can't even. There'll be a surprise coming for Emilio. That's all I'm going to say. A couple of people that I want to highlight, 4 in particular that I know that you've either met or worked with, and I want you to talk about your experiences with them. Tom Sizemore, which is one of the guys I want to interview in the worst way, and I don't know how to find him. Mike Tyson, Leslie Nielsen, of course, the infamous Leslie Nielsen, loved him. And then, of course, I don't think it was that Lego you met Lorenzo Lamas, Mr. Celebrity Apprentice.
Yes. Okay. Tom Sizemore worked on a film called Second Coming of Christ, and that's where was Vincent Herrera. Yes, and he's very, very intense. Loved working with him. Very cordial, and sometimes when he's in character, you kind of leave him alone. And I love him and Heat and everything else that he did. It was just amazing. He's very, very intense. Mike Tyson, I talk about this. Mike Tyson / Sugar Ray Leonard, and also when I worked with him, like I tell everyone, I'm not really too much starstruck, but when it comes to athletes, those are the ones that really, really gets me. When I met Mike Tyson and Sugar Ray Leonard, when I worked on that video with him, it was just an amazing experience working with them because I grew up as a boxing fan, and I still am a boxing fan, and seeing them outside their realm and doing the video, and when you spend a little time on set, as you know, you get to know someone when you're eating, crafty table,
right.
And every time I talk to these well-known actors, I never really always talk about the acting. People always ask me, hey, Will, how do you get to know them? How do you get pictures of your friends? Because, I go in it as a normal person, and they want you to talk to them like that. You just don't want, oh, my gosh,
right.
being a starstruck. And when I met Lorenzo Lamas, the same thing when we did, and, of course, we have, he's worked with Emilio itself in Renegade. And during that time with Lorenzo, and I love Lorenzo, he's a great guy, and first thing I talked to him, I said, "Oh, Lorenzo, you were in Grease, one of my favorite movies."
Right.
I mean, you were in Love Boat. Your dad is Fernando. I mean, and he was so impressed with that. And he just started smiling, and he says, "Wow, no one ever talked to me like that." And we sat down for a few hours in between set, and he is just a wonderful, wonderful man. Yeah, and that was a great experience. Yeah, talking about his life and how he got started, and guiding me what I need to do, because I always ask, okay, am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? And he gave me a lot of good advice. So it was great working with Lorenzo Lamas.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And then the infamous Leslie Nielsen, that was such a tragedy because he really was a fundamentally funny actor. I mean, off screen, on screen, I was very impressed with him, and I guess that's one of the things I wanted to highlight here was your time with him. What do you remember? What's something that stuck with you from meeting him?
Yeah, we worked on, it was called The Naked Gun 33 and a Third, which was really funny. At the time, I was working in stunt because I do martial arts. And I got casted because in this film, Naked Gun 3 or 33 and a Third, he goes to prison. And there's a big fight scene that we do. We have a little crew at the time. It was a stunt crew, which I was a part of. And we did the fighting scenes with him and, the chair breaking and all that other stuff. So, and outside of set, one thing, and at the time I was really young, he was telling me the same thing to people that he worked with because he's a very legendary actor. Very humble, and I found out that these older actors they're very humble, and they don't take it for granted, and it was an amazing experience. So when I found out he died a few years back, it was pretty touching because he was a wonderful man. We kept in contact through email, which was great. He gave me his personal email. I didn't call him, of course, but during that time we emailed each other, and I knew when he was sick, so. I didn't tell anybody that, but of course I knew these little things. Great experience.
Oh, goodness, look at that. That must have been absolutely wonderful. How terrific is that? My goodness. Now, if I want to ask you to date, as it stands now, could you tell me what you feel that your strongest and weakest performance has been to date?
Wow.
I'm asking for a reason.
Gosh. Are you really? Okay. My weakest performance? Oh, my goodness. Probably this last role I did, probably 3 weeks ago because I kind of hurt my leg on this one particular role I did. I popped on my, not my knee, but actually my calf. I was playing a police officer, and when I ran in to do this particular role, it popped, and then my whole character just went out the door because I was in pain.
Oh, no.
And it was hard for me to get back into character. So, even though they stopped it for a little while and did it, I mean, I knew in my mind I was just, oh my gosh, that's a shitty performance. That was, just recently. And then my best performance, is that what you're asking me?
I'm asking you.
That's a good one. What I was happy about was probably, there's a few, but there was one I just did. I had to redo the Shawshank Redemption on a student film that I did, and I played Red, which is, everyone was that character, and I had to do a huge monologue. It was like 5 pages of that, and I was really happy about that. And matter of fact, the director, after that performance, she says, "Will, you nailed it. You nailed the character," and she emailed me and just told me, "Oh my gosh, I loved your performance and love to have you work again in whatever projects I am." So, and when you get an email from a director about your performance, I mean, what's better than that? You know.
Of course, goes without saying. Kind of goes without saying. And the whole reason for asking you that, just so that you know this, and I'll be very candid about this, the reason I always try to tend to ask actors to do a self-assessment of themselves, and my personal belief is this: the higher the actor, the better the actor will always be able to identify their best and their worst. And why? Because they can recognize their strong suit and their weaknesses and be proud of both and be able to say, hey, look, I did this, and they can acknowledge both and learn from both, which I'm sure that you did, which is the whole reason for asking, by the way. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you for the question.
Let's talk a little bit about, your career in terms of you've done TV, you've done movie and such. First of all, let's kind of backtrack a little bit and talk about your experiences. 2 TV series that I wish to notate and bring to light here: Grey's Anatomy and Beauty Queen Murders, both of which you participated in. 2 quick questions in relative to both of those. First of all, what led you to there, meaning that was this a tip-off from a firm? Did you actually cast for both of those? And then tell me what intrigued you about being on both of these programs.
Yes, on a Grey's Anatomy, I actually played a X-ray tech. And that was a great experience for me because the representation that I had at the time, they called me in for that. They asked me to do that role, and and I said absolutely. Even though it's a small little role, but when you're working on a hit television show like that, it was great. Worked 3 days on that. Great experience of in working on TV. It's a lot faster. And you probably know that, as opposed to on film. You have to get on mark. You have to get, you have to be on point. And working on Grey's Anatomy and working at the studio and watching things with different camera angles and just that was a wonderful experience. And at the time, they got also picked up, I guess, for another 2 more years. So that was, and to this day, it's still one of my fun times of working on TV and also working with a crew like that, with McDreamy, it was great to work with him. Oh my gosh, and all the girls, when they found out, my friends, I was working on the show, they wanted to make sure I say hi to him. Great head of hair. Oh my God, that's
really.
I was going to have a great head of hair. And Beauty Queen Murders, yes, I was a host on the show on this one because it's a reenactment show. Great time. The only thing about it is when I saw it, and actually I ended up watching it that day before yesterday with my friend, they dubbed my voice.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, no.
And, they dubbed my voice. They mic'd me up and that's a funny thing, we even laugh about it. They mic'd me up when I was about to do my thing, and I was doing the whole thing. And, of course, when I watch it, and when I've seen it a few times, they dubbed my voice, and a lot of people say it could be a lot of things. It could be in editing. Maybe when we did it, it's just different ways why sometimes they dub your voice. But that was a great experience, and doing reenactment shows is what I really enjoy. I don't do reality shows at all. We're not. That's totally different.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we don't do reality.
Oh, I imagine so, definitely.
No,
and everybody knows Grey's Anatomy. Well,
Grey's Anatomy.
Yes, that was true. I have to be very careful how I answer that because some of my dearest friends are on reality TV, So I kind of walk that thin line of reality / non-reality, all that good stuff. But, performance is performance. It's just reality TV should be reality. It shouldn't be, conjectured, and it shouldn't be acted, et cetera, et cetera. So I agree with you in terms of that standpoint, as far as that goes. I want to do the other side of the fence, of course, which is, major screen movie, which we're talking 3 different ones in particular, Breakpoint, Imperial Dreams, and then, of course, Boone, the Bounty Hunter. Talk to me a little bit about process when you are working in television versus working on a bigger screen. Most people don't get the persona, or they get some glimpse in talking to an actor in terms of what happens and how things work. But 2 questions relative to this. First off, when you are attempting to be cast for a movie versus being cast in a television series, explain that process. Is it more complex in a movie versus television? And then second of all, do you envision yourself over time developing into more of a television actor or more into a big screen actor?
On the second question, on the television or TV,
okay.
Television, I would love to. I mean, right now it's the pilot season, and that's what we would love to do, is to stay on television, because it's, of course, it's steady work, and it's fast.
Sure.
So as an actor, you have to be quick, and that, to me, is what I would love to do, is to be TV. When as opposed to, of course, when you're in a film. I mean, I went to actually, I was talking to a friend of mine that's an actress. She was just in this one premiere movie that I went to go see her, and I talked to her the same way. She was on Days of Our Lives. And the same thing that her and I talked about, when you're on Days of Our Lives, I mean, you have to be on, you got a script, and, they can memorize it right there and then, as opposed to when you're on in a movie set, you're on, and all of a sudden they stop. And that's one thing with TV actors they don't understand, because they're constant. It's like a play that you're doing every single time, and then all of a sudden in the movie they stop it, and we have different takes. But on my side, I would love to get into the television realm and see if I could do that for many years. I love movie making, of course, but television. If you're saying, okay, we'll make a decision. What would you like to do? TV, I would love to do television, sitcom work, any of those things, Law and Order, any of those would just be incredible. Your first question, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead.
And what was your first question? And I went to the second one.
The first question, as it relates to a lot of times, no, that's okay. When it comes down to, most of us are not, regular working actors, so they don't always understand the process between television versus movies in terms of the casting process. Is it more difficult to be cast in a movie versus a smaller type screen scenario? And if so, why?
What I find out in as opposed to television?
Yep.
I found out it's probably, in my experience, not for everyone else, but in my experience, I think TV is a little bit more difficult as opposed to, because I've been cast more in film.
Okay.
So in my personal experience, I've tried to continue to get on television, and I've been getting booked or cast more on film process. So, I mean, I don't know if it's something that I have to continue to learn my craft and sharpen my craft to get into TV, because it is quicker. Mm-hmm. If you're doing a 30-minute sitcom work, your script is smaller. It's only have 30 pages, as opposed to a script of 100 to 130 pages in a film. In that point, I mean, it's easier for me to be getting booked on a movie role as opposed to television. Definitely want to get into
interesting
TV,
too.
Yeah.
In listening to this, I would have pegged you for a movie guy, not a TV guy, so you kind of baffled me here a little bit. I honestly would have definitely pegged you for a movie guy. I don't know why. I just had this sense that would have been the thing, but nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with it.
And I will continue to do the movies, which I love. It's just TV. It's as an actor, it's challenging. I want to go in that realm where I can just do things quick, and
I understand.
Improv.
That's all right. I understand. Now, I want you to talk a little bit about, because these two are in post-production, and one of which you prefaced already, which is Second Coming of Christ and, of course, Good Grief. Those are the two that I wanted to talk about here, which are 2015 films up and coming in post-production. Tell us a little bit about what we can expect out of both of those, when we can be looking for them, and what specifically your roles were within those two.
Yeah. On Second Commitment Price, I play a reporter, and it's the movie is based on the apocalypse of the end of the world. So, talking to Vincent, which he's the second lead on the film, and of course, Sizemore and Natalie Burns, which is a great cast. We're hoping that that film will be coming out hopefully by the end of the year, and praying about that, because that's a really good film, and I think people are going to love that because of that whole project of the whole apocalypse, the end of the world, and about a little bit about Jesus and things like that. I played a reporter, and in that part, I'm reporting in my role. I'm reporting what's happening, because there's big turmoil in that scene that we're in, and I'm reporting to the camera what's happening in the world and the apocalypse coming and things like that. So that was wonderful. Totally different. It was totally different to play a reporter and to look at it and to do that. And that's great. Like I said, I hope that does come out by the end of the year. Sure. Good Grief. It was a fun one, and that's I played a baseball player, which is once again there's different characters that I play on that. It's a fun little project. The directors are great to work with, and that's another. It's a fun film, kind of like a high school type, but it's really bringing it to life. It's a totally different type of project. It's fun, it's enlightening, and it's comedy, which is great. So that hopefully that should be coming out by July, hopefully. I don't know how the editing process is, because when you might work on that film a year ago, and then sometimes the editing process might take a little bit longer. So yeah, those are the two that I really can't wait to see this coming year.
Very awesome. Now tell me, outside of those two films, what else do you have in the pipe coming up here? Anything else that we should be aware of, or anything else you're trying to promote, or that we should look for?
Right now, no. As of right now, I just haven't really got. Oh yeah, I did. Actually, you mentioned it. I'm working on a film called Glory of Egypt. Actually, I shoot on Thursday. Actually, I got the script to, and that one I play NSA agent. Yes, and another great director by the name of Michael Simmons is directing that. Okay. And great story that it's a passion project that he's putting together, and I shot my scene probably 3 weeks ago, and the co-starring lead is Marcella, which is Rivera's girlfriend. She plays the agent, which plays excellent. She's the second lead in the film, and I play her NSA agent, and we shoot our scene Thursday. Actually, I got the script today. So that's the latest. And then, I had an audition for this commercial a couple of days ago, so I'm just kind of waiting on that.
Very, very cool.
We're on the grind, sweetie. We're on the grind.
This is a good thing. Now, before I forget, I don't want to forget this one last area, and this is very important. And so this is probably, I always have this moment on the show where I try to not embarrass someone, but this might embarrass you, so be prepared. I want to share this with my listening audience. And why? Because I came across this, and I will say this first before I read this. I was very impressed. And I thought to myself, this is a side of you that I didn't know existed, because I just read this, and I thought to myself, I have to share this with the listening audience just because I thought it was so beautiful. And I don't say that all the time. So I want you to listen to what I read. And you're going to know what this is because, well, you should recognize it. So I read this, and this is something that I came across as it relates to Will. So listen in. And don't hang up, because you're required to stay on the air. This is how it goes. It says, are thine eyes intertwined with love divine, or am I just pretending I'm fine? I see things clear, but yet it's faint. If so, my words are the colors of true love's paint. But now my only colors are night all day, for my true love is gone astray. Give it time, true love will come back for you, they say. Without her, my life is in disarray. Maybe this is the price I pay for thinking love could be a game. So here I am, tossing and turning all night, thinking if she feels the same. And if she doesn't, am I the one to blame? Is it too selfish to think that she could be if she could only be mine, or are my eyes intertwined with love's divine? Well,
Wow.
What can we say about that? Wow. Well, I'm a writer, so obviously it's not very often that I get a chance to read something so poetic and so beautiful. So I thought we could explore that component of you, which is, my gosh, he writes. And not only does he writes very well. So I'm just curious to ask you about that part of yourself. Do you get a chance to write often? Is that one of your passions? Are you going to do anything about it? So that was beautiful. I mean, and it's gorgeous. It is. It's gorgeous.
Thank you. No, from the writing part, no, I we've all had some loves in our lives that that came in. So, those are little things that are a little bit personal that you express yourself, but it's a little embarrassing. But I'm
sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
No, it's great. It's great. You've done your research, which is, I'm telling you, that's why you're the best.
I did.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that you look back on the things that you do, and you think of the people that you've come across, good and bad, and people that you've lost, and maybe you think back of things you should have. As opposed to a relationship, I should have continued on a few that I think I left behind and made a mistake on, and that's what expressed all that emotion.
I got it. I understand.
So to continue to write, no, it's those are pretty personal, to write about things like that.
Oh, of course. No, I understand. And there are some people that are in the artistic realm, that start out doing acting and things like that. And then a lot of times, I love my cross-culture, is what I call them, people like that or like cross-creatives, for lack of a better term, you know what I mean? They can act, they can write, they can sing, they can dance, they can, whatever. It's across the board as far as that goes. So, it's very, very impressive that you're capable of doing more than one thing. Whether you utilize it or not, it makes you a cross-creative.
Yes.
Now, I don't want to forget to mention this. I know that you have an IMDb profile because, of course, you're an actor, and, of course, you have your personal Facebook page. If people or individuals want to find you out in social media land outside of those places, where would they go? Or are there other places, or is that just the two main ones?
I do have an Instagram. Yeah, I have an Instagram.
Okay.
Which is Will Actor1 is my Instagram.
Okay.
So, and those are the only ones I do have. Yeah, the IMDb, of course, the Facebook page, and then my Instagram, which is Will Actor1. You can follow me on that. I do not have a Twitter.
I was going to mention that you don't. You're probably one of the only actors that doesn't. And I'm not trying to be a smart aleck. I mean, honestly, nowadays it's like you have to be everywhere: LinkedIn, Twitter, you name it.
I have a Twitter page. I don't know. Maybe it's my old school ways. I feel like when you're on Twitter, that I understand. I guess you have followers or people that follow your work, and I'm still a little bit shy about things like that sometimes. And I like to follow some of my friends, but them following you. I mean, but then again, it's part of the marketing and what we need to do. So I am definitely looking into that. I have to, because I can't be everyone else is doing it. So, but as of right now, I have to too.
You do.
Yeah, of course.
Got it. Of course, it makes sense. And unfortunately, it is what it is nowadays, because in this industry, a lot of times, most of the people I find to interview or otherwise are on Twitter or on some form of social media, and that's pretty much how you get your projects out there, how you meet people. I mean, obviously, we met on social media. If it wasn't for
absolutely,
social media, we wouldn't know each other as far as that goes. But
absolutely.
Now, you've listened to my show, so you know what the last part of my show entails, right? The very last component we have to take care of is
you're gonna make me cry on this one?
I know, right? Because you know what? I do tend to make people cry, and then they make me feel bad because I'm just like, oh my God, I'm making them feel bad. People don't realize how bad I feel when I made Emilio cry, and that was a big deal for me. The fact that was huge. I'm like, oh my God, that's no, I'm not going to make you cry. This is what I am going to tell you. I would like to. I want everyone to hear my impressions of Will Lopez and why, because I'm of the bona fide belief that people need to see you from the way I see you. And if they can look at you the way that I look at you, they'll become a lifetime fan. And so these are the impressions that I have of you. I will say this much. One of the reasons that I was so nervous about interviewing Will today is because of the fact that he has this very serious demeanor about him. And I get it across the board. In his emails, when I'm talking to him, he's very serious. He's very professional. He's very intense. There is an intensity that's required to do this position when it comes to acting as a profession. And your top-notch just relates to the intensity factor. Being professional, being courteous, being respectful. You carry all the components of a decent, loving human being. And that transcends like some of the acting that you've done before. Oh, you're quite welcome. I've seen you in a couple different productions. I've gone past and I've kind of brushed through and done that. I've had an opportunity to speak to other individuals about you and the person that they know you to be. You are 100% passionate about everything that you do, apparently. And I admire that quality more than I can tell you. There are people that are quitters, and then there are people that are non-quitters, and you are definitely one of the non-quitters of the world. You have a solid intent on what you plan on doing, where you plan on acting, for how long you plan on doing it, and the type of roles that you're looking to do. I admire that tremendously. The fact that you are trying to juggle being you're a father, but to me, it seems as though you're one of those actors that brings the lead for those to follow, meaning that some of our younger generations that are coming up, they can look at somebody like a Will Lopez and say, hey, look, he's managed to balance and solidify having a job, having a company, going off on screen, going off to casting calls and auditions like we talked about. You never quit. You never give up. No matter what happens, no matter how many times you get rejected, no matter how many times it's up and down in the industry, you're out there, you're knocking on doors, you're making your presence known, you're taking pictures, you're showing all of us, hey, I'm out there and I want to be recognized. But you want to be recognized on your own terms for who you are and how you do your acting. And your acting is very different than some of the other individuals out there. And I think that you are a very finessed and polished person as it relates to your craft. But you are 51 years old, and you've had enough time in the business to be able to learn what you're good at and what you're not. And you tend to steer clear from those roles that will be more redundant for you. And you're refreshing, and your presence on screen is catchy. And I'm not going to lie, you're a cute guy, and I'm sure you know that you're a cute guy, so you've got that going for you, too. You've got the female factor, as I call it. Any actor that's successful in life, if you can capture the female factor, you have it going on. The last thing that I want to say, too, was not so long ago, you had done a posting up on Facebook, and yes, I pay attention. I creep on you because I interviewed you. And I thought it was so cute because you put this posting up where you said, I'm going to throw this ad out or put this ad out to find a woman who will cook for me in my life or something like that, which led me to believe that the one thing that Will doesn't do as well is to cook. So I thought to myself, the last thing I'm going to say to this guy on air is, now, you know, when I come to California and to visit and I'm going to see Wilson and everybody else, you must let me come to your house and cook for you.
Absolutely.
Because I'm just that kind of girl.
I
tend to do that. I'll go to lunch with Dayton, and then I'll come on over, and then I can cook for you, and then I'll run out to Wilson's house, and we can hang with his kids, and, you know, we'll do that whole little gamut. Assuming they let me get the hell out of Wisconsin, because I've got a few things going on in my backyard, as you can see. So this is what I can say to you. Those are my impressions of you. I'm going to apologize in advance for the fact that hopefully I did the best interview I could. I'm not going to lie. I feel like garbage today, but I tried the best I could to make you look as wonderful as I see you to the rest of the world.
Oh, my gosh.
Are you okay?
Oh, my gosh. It was touching. I mean, you nailed it. It's amazing how you read me very, very well. It's pretty scary, but that's who you are. I mean, that's why you're the best. You're very good in what you do. My goodness. You know how privileged I am to be on your show. This is just
well, it's very reciprocal,
one of the highlights,
and hopefully with any luck, excuse me, I'd like you to stick around in my life long enough for me to be able to offer you at least one part in one of my productions, because there's 4 films in 2.5 years. So you can't be in this one because it's female bikers. So unless you, unless you get boobs, you can't come in the show. But there will be a silent film, there'll be a comedy film, and then there'll be another film. So you'll be invited to do something because I gave Wilson the same opportunity, and I would love to be able to stand next to you on a screen or watch you be in a production of mine and say, you know what, I know that man, and I'm proud of that man, and I'm so proud that he's my friend, and I'm so proud that I'm able to showcase his talent. Simple as that.
Oh, give me a call anytime. I will fly to see you if I have to.
Oh, You're so sweet.
Anytime.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, my dear, as much as I'd love to talk to you all day, I do have two children that are waiting on me. So I suppose I better get you off air, go get my children, and we'll chat off of air. I have one more thing I need to say to you, and I'll let you know that off of air. But thank you so much for coming on the show today, sweetheart.
Thank you very much.
Good luck with all these endeavors. And please keep me posted. You can come back on the show anytime. My door is open to you anytime.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you for your time. It was wonderful. I had a great time.
Anytime, my dear. Oh, me too.
Okay.
Well, you take care, and we'll talk soon.
All right.
That was Will Lopez, the actor. Was he or was he not amazing? I wish I could say I feel better, but now it's almost 2:30, and I still don't feel any better. It sucks, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Let's hope by tomorrow I feel better, because we have a top-notch, 150% quality, top-to-bottom actor, producer, writer. He's done more festivals and won more awards than I can even talk about in a day. John Gallagher, 6 o'clock Central Standard Time tomorrow. We're going to be talking The Neutralizer, amongst all other things. And then, of course, Thursday, Sisters of Grace, as I mentioned, which is 3 o'clock Central Standard Time. Once again, Will Lopez, he has an IMDb profile, Facebook page, and, of course, Instagram, which is Will Actor 1. My greatest bit of appreciation goes out to Will for him coming on my show today, and I wish him nothing but success. He is truly a top-notch individual, and I'm very, very fortunate to have met him. So please make sure to support his endeavors. Please make sure to support mine. Thank you so much for everybody who's pushing me along here when it comes to the movie, when it comes to my store. I'll be posting a couple fundraising events, amongst other things, so just watch the wall. You guys have a great afternoon. Hopefully I hope to feel better tomorrow. Thanks.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. By singing dog. By goal.
I pronounce you.
By wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. By singing dog. By goal.
I pronounce you.
By wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.